Hi everyone, Melanie here. Welcome back to the channel. Hello to all new viewers and subscribers. Hope you're all doing well, everyone. How are you? Let me know how you're finding things. Leave in the comments below. I wanted to make this video today to help you if you can relate to this situation. If you're struggling to describe your recent BPD breakup to a friend, maybe it's not even a recent breakup. Maybe it's been 6 months. Maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been 2 years, and you're still struggling with moving on. It's really hard to share with loved ones, with friends, with family, why it's so hard to move on when you've just broken up with someone who has BPD, and why it's still a struggle to move on further down the line sometimes. And it's hard to talk about this with people who haven't been there. When people say, just snap out of it, move on, go out, have a laugh, meet new people, you'll be fine. And not only is that, although well-intentioned, very dismissive of how you're feeling, can also mean that one can retreat, not wanting to burden friends and family. And that might not be the best idea if you want to improve your mental health, if you want to help yourself heal and recover. So it's part of the reason why I started this channel, to provide people with a platform to be able to talk about this with other people who have been in this situation, to know that you're not the only person who's been through this, who is going through this. It is, however, at least in my opinion anyway, still quite important to communicate how you're feeling to your close friends. Imagine if this was happening to them, wouldn't you want them to reach out to you? So the next time your friends ask you, why are you struggling with moving on? Maybe tell them this. Try to imagine the relationship and the breakup with someone with BPD, a bit like going to the cinema with your BPD ex. Imagine going into the cinema and sitting down and watching the film, and you're really into the film. You are so engaged in the film. Maybe you've been meaning to see this film for a while now, and you're finally experiencing it, and it's everything that it's cracked up to be. You're loving it. Maybe you weren't actually meaning to go to the cinema in the first place, and yet you ended up in the cinema, and although you didn't really want to watch this kind of film, actually you're really getting into it. Actually you're loving it, and you let your guard down and you're fully into this film. Yes, this is a really good thing. Best time ever. And then the film just suddenly stops. The lights come on. You hear a voice on the intercom. Got some technical difficulties, please exit the cinema. That feeling, when you're still in your chair and you're wondering, what? It's the pain of being suddenly ripped out from one reality, torn against your will from one reality into another. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, I went to see Avatar in the cinema. And it was a late night viewing. Came out and it was 1 a.m. And for anyone who doesn't know South London, Croydon in particular, at 1 in the morning, it looks a little bit like Gotham City. And for anyone who's watched Avatar, Pandora is just beautiful. Not only is the surroundings, this planet just gorgeous, but the way they live, the moral principles that they go by, flying those bird dragons, I forget what they are. I was really engaged in that film. Part of me didn't want to leave, so when the lights came on and I exited the cinema, I went into the dreary Croydon town centre, I burst into tears. I didn't know why. I got a bit embarrassed of myself for getting so emotional. And I went online and turns out quite a lot of people got emotional after watching Avatar. A lot of people had a similar reaction. When you're having an experience, when you're engaged in something that just speaks to your heart and you're all in, I'm all in that. To have that suddenly taken away from you, it's traumatizing, it's shocking. This is why I'm likening the story of going to the cinema and having the movie just suddenly stopped. Why is this similar to dating someone who has BPD? Because more often than not, when someone with BPD breaks up with you, it's just quite sudden. So imagine you're in the cinema and the lights have come on and you're there for a few minutes just stunned. You don't want to get out your seat, you're just trying to figure out, where am I, what's going on? You feel disorientated. And then you look to your side and you realize that your BPDX is gone. And you're thinking, what happened? Why did he or she leave? And maybe she had whispered into your ear that she was going to go to the toilet, never came back. Or maybe she just got up without telling you, and regardless, you realize that she just wasn't into the film as much as you were. You were much more engaged in it, and even though it's just suddenly ended, you still are engaged in it. Dating someone with BPD, more often than not, is quite an intense relationship. Whether you were looking for this kind of relationship or not, more often than not, we get suckered into a dream, a fantasy which we are sold could be real, is real. And just as quickly as the castle of sand was made, just as quickly the tide comes in and takes it all away. And even more heartbreaking to see that your BPDX has seemingly moved on and you're still in this pain, which just adds even more shame, anger, sadness, all of the above, on top of what you're already feeling, which quite frankly is a form of PTSD. It is shocking, it is traumatizing, being so close to someone who you thought loved you back. And even when they started to change, for you, everything was still good. And yet for them, this is just the transition for them to then just move on. So, when your friends tell you, why is it so hard to move on? Because it's really hard when something that you were so into just suddenly stops and it's out of your control. Dating someone with BPD, getting really close, very close to them, and then all the problems that happen in the relationship, and then more often than not, the sudden departure. At the end of this, it feels like a never-ending pain, because not only are you dealing with the shock of what's happened, but the trauma, pains from the past, from the recent past with the fights, the arguments, and from the distant past, maybe from times in your childhood that are now coming to the surface because of what's happened. Dating her, being dumped, being rejected, being abandoned like this. All of this compounds, and it can feel like the worst pain ever. And it's even worse when people that you care about just don't get it. And the shame, guilt, embarrassment, it can make it even harder to reach out for help. And as a consequence, it can mean that we just become withdrawn and depression really starts to kick in. And if you are living in isolation at the moment because, lockdown, then it's even more important for you to reach out in any way that you can. Be it to a friend, just give them the story, talk, see what happens, and even tell your friends, look, you don't need to tell me what to do, just listen. Sometimes all we need is a supportive ear, a non-judgmental ear, someone who can listen to us and not judge and not try to fix or give suggestions, but just hold the space. That's quite healing in itself. And if you don't have that luxury of someone to call, to contact, then please leave comments under my videos. Check previous videos and read the stories that other people are sharing and reach out. Even if it's online, we have each other. So you are not alone, don't forget that. And as always, if you think some online counselling with me might help, drop me an email. My email is in the description below. All right, well, have a lovely evening and take care of yourself. Bye for now.